Fala pessoal, tudo bom? Meu nome é Luiz Prisco e eu conversei hoje com a escritora Celeste Ng, uma escritora americana que está lançando Os Corações Perdidos. Você deve lembrar dela porque ela escreveu aquele livro Pequenos Incêndios em Todos os Lugares, que foi adaptado para o Amazon Prime Video. E ela está falando aqui nesse livro de um mundo meio confuso, onde pais são separados dos seus filhos por conta de opiniões políticas. E especificamente a comunidade asiática nos Estados Unidos está sendo perseguida por uma nova lei. O livro é muito interessante e a gente vai bater um papo com ela para entender melhor o que ela quis contar com essa história. Thanks so much for your time. And my first question is, how far do you think we are from the events you wrote in Our Missing Hearts?
I hoped that we would be getting farther away. I'm not sure. It feels in the US like we're getting closer. There have been a lot of stories about school districts and libraries that have to remove books from their libraries or from the classrooms because, certain political groups don't like them. We're seeing a lot of anti-Asian sentiment. That's always been true, but it has gotten worse. Just yesterday, there was news about a balloon they think might be a Chinese spy balloon over Montana. And I think I and many other Asian Americans are sitting and bracing ourselves for people to think that this is, Chinese people in America or Asian people in America are somehow part of that. So we're not as far away as I wish we were.
Okay. There was one point I was particularly scared about the book because, do you describe a crisis, an economical crisis? So I have the opinion, especially here in Brazil, we are living this crisis right now. Do you agree with that?
I base the crisis off of what has happened in history. We have seen this happen before where we have a crisis, like you say, where the economy is bad and that leads to stores closing, that leads to political unrest. I know you know what I mean. And we've seen that in many other places too. You see the stories in the news about labor strikes, in France or with the railway or even in England and here in the US. It's, that is a continuation of the pattern from history. It feels like we could be having the crisis. Yeah.
Your books usually talked about race, family, and other subjects. I just want to listen from you. Our Missing Hearts is about what?
I think it's really about community, about not being alone, and about remembering and telling people's stories. One of the things that happens in the book is that people are very isolated from each other. I think since Corona, we know something of how that feels. When we were all alone inside our houses, you couldn't go out, you didn't know if it was okay to see other people. You feel very alone and you feel like you're the only one there and you start to not care about other people. And that is something like what happens in the book. They think only of themselves because everyone is a threat. And that's what I hope we can avoid, the fear of everyone else in the world.
Can I ask you, who is your favorite character? Because I was really connected with Margaret Mill. I don't know if it's the correct pronunciation, but
yeah,
I loved her. And I want to know who is your favorite character?
Oh, it's a little tricky. It's a little bit like asking, a parent who is their favorite child, you don't want to pick a favorite. But I do love Margaret because a lot of the things that she thinks about, they're things that I feel too. I am also a mother and, I wonder how do I raise a child to live in a world that feels dangerous and scary and unfriendly and maybe everything is falling apart. And she feels that too. She wants to balance trying to make changes and trying to be brave and trying to take care of her child. And I feel that too. I think many people do. So I do feel a special connection with her.
I was trying to define her and I think about brave. For me, she's really brave. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think she's found her bravery. I think it's important to remember she didn't start off wanting to be brave. I mean, most people don't. Most people want to, say that's somebody else's problem. I'm fine. right? But when she needs to, she finds a way to be brave. She tried to ignore things for a long time, and now she's trying to make up for having not paid attention before. She has to be brave.
And as a creator, how do you figure out to tell this story through the eyes of a kid? Because it's an emotional part of the book.
Yeah, I do a lot of experimenting as a writer. I write about the characters, I write from their voice, I write from their point of view, and I see who seems to tell the story the best. In Our Missing Hearts, I wanted to use the child's point of view because he starts off not understanding the world, just as we don't understand as the readers. We don't know this world. We don't know very much. You know, our world is very small. And his world gets bigger. He leaves home. He starts to understand more. And then he starts to understand the history. So we can follow him like that. Our understanding can grow too. It felt like Bird, the 12-year-old, is a good guide to take us into this world.
Do you qualify Our Missing Hearts as a dystopia? I was thinking about that because I don't see like a dystopia. I see like a present day.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah, I think, people have called it a dystopia, and I always ask, is it? How much of a dystopia is it? Everything that happens in the book has some precedent in history. It's something like it has happened before. The anti-Asian sentiment, we saw that in the Trump era, but that has been true for all of American history. The separation of families, that's not new with Trump either. That has happened in the US many times over time, in many other parts of the world too. The same with the crisis, as you say, and the idea that an economic crisis leads to finding a scapegoat, somebody to blame. That happens over and over again. So I don't know that it is a dystopia. I think it is like our world, but maybe just the volume turned up a little bit.
And can we expect to see this book on television like we saw Little Fires Everywhere?
I don't know. We're talking to a few different possibilities. One thing I learned is that the film industry has so many moving pieces. The novel, it's just me at the computer, but the film, there are so many people who have to coordinate. So I hope I will have some news to share about that sometime soon.
Just to finish, that's a curiosity, I can say. Little Fires Everywhere, it was adapted to television and they changed the plot, they changed the character. How different this story is for you as a creator to see another racial contest in the television?
Yeah, that was a big change that they made. In Little Fires Everywhere, the book, Mia, one of the main characters, is white. And in the TV show, she is played by Kerry Washington, a Black actress. When they suggested that to me, I loved the idea, actually, because for me, it's fun to see the TV show do something different, to take the story and turn it a little bit, look at it in a different way. So I liked that they did it. And when I watched the TV show, I was sitting on the couch with my husband and I was like, what's going to happen? And he said, you know what's going to happen. You wrote the story. But it felt new to me. So that was fun. Not every author feels this way, but I like the idea that the TV show or the movie, it is really a change. It's like a translation into a different language, but it's translated onto film instead of on the page. I like it to be different.
E aí, pessoal, gostou da entrevista? Então é o seguinte, manda um like aí, responde nos comentários se você quer ler Os Corações Perdidos e, é claro, se inscreve no canal do Metrópolis ou segue o perfil nas redes sociais.